What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in with me here at Dynasty Live Fantasy Football. It's your boy Stevie B, and today we are talking about the dynasty value of Rhamondre Stevenson, or what are we doing with Rhamondre Stevenson? What do we think about Rhamondre Stevenson? Make sure you guys drop what you guys think in the comments there. But let's get into what he's been doing, obviously, this year. Right now, we're in week 13 of the 2022 season. And Rhamondre Stevenson in half PPR, which is what most people play nowadays, he is RB number 8 on the season, averaging 14.1 fantasy points per game. So he is doing his thing, being the workhorse back right now, with no Damian Harris as he is hurt and he went down. None of those pass catching backs, all those guys are injured as well. So it's literally only like Rhamondre Stevenson. So he's seeing really the workhorse load and he is producing. He is producing. Like I said, RB8 on the season, catching a ton of passes. I think he caught like 9 passes the other day or last week that was. But just really, really involved. And if he is going to be the workhorse guy, he is definitely a top 10 running back. Definitely top 10 for the rest of the season. Now, in Dynasty, what does that mean for you? And what is the situation? Well, the guy he can catch the ball and he can run the ball. Tremendous when he's breaking tackles as well. So, depending on what happens with his situation going forward, there's a few different ways that this can happen. Obviously, for the rest of the season, he's locked in as a top 10 guy. Now, what are we looking at going forward into next season? Are they going to re sign Damian Harris? Probably not. You can probably bet your money on that. They will not re sign Damian Harris. So, they will have Rhamondre Stevenson. He's under contract until the 2024 season. So, he'll be there until the end of 2024 at the least, unless they re-sign him, which, as we know, New England's known to not do that. So now Rhamondre Stevenson, he's got a few different outlooks. Is again, are they going to not sign Damian Harris and just leave Stevenson as the guy? But do they not sign anybody in free agency, or do they not draft anybody? It's possible they bring in somebody from free agency or draft somebody, maybe for the pass catching role, and maybe they leave Stevenson kind of as still kind of the workhorse, but have that other guy that they bring in for pass catching or third down possibly. But as we've seen, Stevenson can control obviously three down workload. But do we trust Belichick? He's not really known to just rely on one running back, so it's tough to kind of predict that. Obviously, they can do absolutely anything. So, do you want to bet on that? So, if he is the guy next season and they don't really draft anybody high and don't bring in anybody significant, then he's still, a top 10, top 12 guy. In Dynasty, he'll be probably a top 12 Dynasty running back if that happens. Right now, he's probably in my 15 to 20 range just because of the uncertainty. We're not sure exactly what is going to happen, going forward. So, being that said, are you buying? Are you selling? Are you holding? Again, all depends on kind of your situation. So, if you're looking to buy Stevenson, that means you're in win now mode. You're either one of the top teams in a league or kind of that middle of the pack that needs that extra piece to bring you over the edge. So if you are in a league where you can, if in a dynasty league where you can still trade, I mean, some dynasty leagues you can trade up into the playoffs. Some there's no trade deadline. Some that trade deadline has already passed. But if you can buy him, if you are looking to buy him, then you can probably spend a late first. I'd probably give up just because obviously the future could be in his favor as well. So I wouldn't want to give up a mid first, especially in super flex, but I'm okay with giving up a late first um, in 12 or 14 team leagues to go and get Stevenson for the rest of the season and, as well going forward. So that will be a situation where you would want to buy him if you need, a good flex going forward, or if you're down and running back, if you need another running back, to finish out the season for you. And obviously in the playoffs to take you to that ship, then absolutely you can spend, a late first. Otherwise, if you can spend a second and a player, I'd rather that. I'm not a huge fan of getting rid of your firsts, but absolutely, if you need to, then you can give up that late one. Now, when are you selling Rhamondre Stevenson? If you are not a contender, obviously, if you need to rebuild, you do not want Stevenson. You want to give him up. You can try and ask for a mid first if you can get it. It all depends on the teams in your league. Does somebody need a running back like we just mentioned to take them over the top? Maybe you can squeeze out a mid first, but I'm okay with a late first, and try and get something else thrown in there. Also, always try and get a +1 to it. So can you get a player on top of it? Whether it's a bench player, doesn't matter. A backup running back, a wide receiver that's not producing, anybody that you can get, even if it is, an older wide receiver, younger wide receiver, try and get another pick with it, whether it's a third or a fourth, just something to get on top of it that you can use to just have that little bit of extra that you can use in another trade that can possibly top something off and get a trade completed. So those are always good things to do, is try and get at least another late pick, on top of it as well if you can, or like I said, a player. So yeah, if you're rebuilding, obviously you want to try and get, some either picks, like I said, or you can try and just jump straight to wide receiver. I mean, Stevenson has enough value, especially right now, where you can move him and try and get a good young wide receiver, whether it's the Londons, Olaves, Garrett Wilsons, any of those guys, if that's possible. Especially if they're on a team that's winning and needs it, they might not need that production from some of that young talent. So you might be able to give them away. Possibly, if you have to give plus, then you can give plus. But if you are in the middle of a pack team and Stevenson is your starting guy, then you're probably not going to give him up. You're going to hold him in that situation. Now, if you're in the middle of pack team and Stevenson is like, your flex, or you're not really depending on him, then now would probably be a good time to move him because his value is so high. And, even though, he could be the 3 down guy next year, do we really want to bet on that, especially when his value is kind of at a peak right now? So you can take advantage of that. And, same thing as we just talked about, you can move him for absolutely, kind of anything. Now, let's look at some recent, there's some recent trades that have went on the past. This is like within the past 30 days that involve Rhamondre Stevenson. Just so, other than what I'm saying, you can get an idea of out there in the dynasty world what the community thinks or what they're valuing Stevenson as and what's been going down, in other leagues, because every league is a little bit different as far as what the dynasty value is, what people perceive it as, what people are willing to give up. So here's some trades that went down. We've got, let's see, Stevenson and Fryermuth for Jerry Judy, Greg Dulcich, and the 2023 first. Not specified whether it's late, early, or mid, but they're pivoting off of the running back and going to get the young wide receiver, getting a nice young tight end in Dulcich, moving off of Fryermuth, and then on top of that, getting the first. So that's a nice little hole there. I don't love giving up Fryermuth, but as you can see, you can get the first, and a player. Here's another one. Rhamondre Stevenson, just Rhamondre Stevenson for Nyheim Hines, a 2023 first and a 2023 fourth. Perfect. Exactly what I'm talking about. A backup running back, a 2023 first, and then plus get a little something added on. You get the fourth round pick. So, I'm not just pulling stuff out of my ass, guy. These are trades that are actually happening. Another young wide receiver, Rhamondre Stevenson, straight up for George Pickens. Perfect, especially if you're in a rebuild mode. It's the perfect trade. Guys, I'm not making this up. These are real trades that are actually out there. So, there's definitely a market for Stevenson, and especially right now. What else we got here? We've got Elijah Mitchell and Stevenson for a 23 first, the 24 third, Travis Homer and Raheem Blackshear. Okay, the other guys don't really mean much, but you get the first and you get the third. We've got Pickens and Tolbert for Stevenson and a third. Another good kind of move off, and you get 2 nice young wide receivers. We've got Rhamondre Stevenson and a 23 first for DeAndre Swift, a 23 first and a 23 second. Awesome to get the Swift side there. You're kind of buying, low on the Swift side, or I mean, I guess kind of even at this point, but you also get the first. You're swapping first, so that doesn't really mean much, but you're also getting the second, and you're getting the upside in Swift. And again, there still is that that slight possibility that Stevenson doesn't get that workhorse load. Another rookie one here is Rhamondre Stevenson and Darius Slayton for Cam Akers and Treylon Burks. You give Akers a shot, but you also get Burks in that process. So it's perfect. You're moving off to go get that wide receiver, but you're also getting a running back in return who has a chance. It doesn't matter what it is, it's just a chance. Stevenson straight up for Burks is something I would do even as well. So the fact that you can get Cam Akers out of it, you're giving up Slayton, which doesn't mean much. Let's see, Rhamondre Stevenson for a 2023 early second. Okay, Stevenson and a third for Marquise Brown and the 2023 second. So you're giving up a third and Stevenson, and then you get Hollywood Brown and a second back. Awesome move to come off of Stevenson if you need to. Here's Stevenson for a 2023 first and a 2024 second. Perfect. You're getting 2 picks. And again, if you can, sometimes people don't value those 2024 picks or that year after. So if you can try and sneak one of those picks in there to top it off, like, all right, just give me a second for next year and we'll make it a deal. And boom, you got yourself a second there as well. Stevenson and a second for Mike Williams, Isaiah Spiller, and the 2024 first. Perfect. You get it next year, a 2024 first. You get Isaiah Spiller, who, maybe could turn out, could not, but he's a guy that you just have on your bench and just a chance to take on. And you also get Mike Williams, who you can either keep or you can move. And just because, he's a little bit older and he's been hurt, doesn't mean that you have to keep him on your team. You can try and trade him. So you can take that and trade him for more as well. So you get the first, you get Spiller, and you get Mike Williams, who maybe you can trade for an early second, possibly a late first on a playoff team that's desperate. Let's see if there's anything else out there. Stevenson and Curtis Samuel for Hollywood Brown. Again, a Hollywood Brown one. So, these are all guys that you can kind of look into and try and move off of, or picks that you can try and get for Rhamondre Stevenson if you need to move off. So anyway, let me guys know what you think, whether you agree or disagree with some of this. Throw your comments down there and I'll get back to you. But thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate y'all.